Shabath Shalom, my beautiful brothers and sisters in our Elohim Yahuwah. Yahuwah, praise Yahuwah. Our Elohim, praise Yah. Bringing us together again tonight so that we can study His Word. Well, gang, we're going to continue our adventure through Melakim Bet, which is 2 Kings. So grab your Bible. You're going to need to read along with me because we got more confusing names tonight because a lot of these kings have the same names. Between Yehuda and Yasharel, the kings have the same names down the road, just right down the way. So we're going to need to read along with me. Everybody's going to need to read along with me tonight so that way we don't get lost in these names, okay? I'll try to point it out which king is which kingdom and try to keep all this straight because this is going to be kind of confusing. Tonight in Melakim Bet, we're going to be going through chapters 13, 14, and 15. So go ahead and get comfortable, grab something to drink, and we'll get started tonight. Please, please, please make sure you have your Bibles and that you're reading along with me, because I don't want to confuse you, and I don't want you to be confused, and I want us all to understand what we're reading. It's very important that we understand what we're reading, okay? Okay, I'll give you all a couple of seconds to go ahead and get what you need and get comfy. Alright, gang, I hope everybody had a good week. And now it's time for Shabath, where we can just rest. And read the Word of Yahuwah and spend time with our families and teach our children. Okay? Alright. I got something in my eye. It's really bugging on me. Alright, let's see if we can get this going on tonight. Oh, well, now at least I can see. Alright, gang. Melakim Bet, chapter 13. In the 23rd year of Joash, son of Ahaziah, sovereign of Yehuda, Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, began to reign over Yasharel in Shamaron, and reigned 17 years. Okay? So the son of Jehu, Jehoahaz, is now the king of Yasharel. Jehu's dead. Verse 2, and he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, and followed the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who had made Yasharel sin. He did not turn away from them, so he's not a very nice guy. Verse 3, and the displeasure of Yahuwah burned against Yasharel, and he gave them into the hand of Hazael, sovereign of Aram, and into the hand of Ben-Hadad, son of Hazael, all the days. So it looks like Hazael has died, and his son Ben-Hadad has now taken the reins in Aram. Okay, so now we have a king change in Aram. Verse 4, then Jehoahaz sought the face of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah listened to him, for he saw the oppression of Yasharel, because the sovereign of Aram oppressed them. And Yahuwah gave Yasharel a savior, so that they came out from under the hand of Aram, and the children of Yasharel dwelt in their tents as before. However, they did not turn away from the sins of the house of Jeroboam, who had made Yasharel sin, but walked in them. Moreover, the Ashtoreth also remained in Shamaron. Ashtoreth, there it is again. Baal and Ashtaram go hand in hand. The Ashtoreth, yeah, look at the Christian churches, the steeples. Yeah, just think about it. Alright, verse 7. For he left the army of Jehoahaz only 50 horsemen, and 10 chariots, and 10,000 footmen, for the sovereign of Aram had destroyed them, and made them like the dust at threshing. It's interesting how this reads, because when you start the very first part of verse 7, it says, for he, capital H, he. So Yahuwah is responsible for the destruction of the army of Yasharel, even though it looks like the sovereign of Aram is taking credit for it. It's interesting how this is worded. Didn't know if you guys noticed that or not. I thought I'd point it out. Verse 8, and the rest of the acts of Jehoahaz and all that he did, and his might, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yasharel? So Jehoahaz slept with his fathers, and they buried him in Shamaron, and Joash, his son, reigned in his place. Okay, so now Joash is the sovereign of Yasharel. Okay? Alright, keep track of this. Verse 10, in the 37th year of Joash, sovereign of Yehuda, Joash, Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, began to reign over Yasharel and Shomron 16 years. So right now, the two sovereigns have the same name. Okay? Yeah. Verse 11, and he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah. He did not turn away from all the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who had made Yasharel sin. He walked in it. These kings in Yasharel are really rotten kings. Jehu is the only one that was righteous. The rest of them are just rotten. Verse 12, and the rest of the acts of Joash, and all that he did, and his might, with which he fought against Atziah, sovereign of Yehuda, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yasharel? So Joash slept with his fathers, and Jeroboam sat on his throne, and Joash was buried in Shamaron with the sovereigns of Yasharel. So now the king of Yasharel, his name is Jeroboam once again. Oh boy, this gets confusing, so pay attention. Verse 14, and Elisha had become sick with the sickness in which he died. And Joash, the sovereign of Yasharel, came down to him, and wept over his face, and said, O my father, the chariots of Yasharel and their horsemen. So Joash is weeping over Elisha as he's dying, complaining that there's no army. He's not worried that Elisha is getting ready to die. He's weeping over him because the army is destroyed. Verse 15, and Elisha said to him, take a bow and some arrows. And he took a bow and some arrows. And he said to the sovereign, Elisha said to the sovereign of Yasharel, place your hand on the bow. So he placed his hand, and Elisha placed his hand on the hands of the sovereign, and said, open the east window. And he had opened it, and Elisha said, shoot. And he shot. Then he said, the arrows of deliverance of Yahuwah, and the arrows of deliverance from Aram, for you shall strike Aram at Aphek until it is finished. Then he said, take the arrows. And he took them. And he said to the sovereign of Yasharel, strike the ground. And he struck 3 times and stopped. And the man of Elohim was wroth with him, and said, you should have struck 5 or 6 times, then you would have stricken Aram until its utter destruction. But now you shall strike Aram only 3 times. Blew it. Verse 20, and Elisha died, and they buried him. And the raiding bands from Moab came into the land in the spring of the year. And it came to be, they were burying a man, and there they saw a raiding band, and cast the man into the burial site of Elisha. And the man fell and touched the bones of Elisha, and came to life. and stood on his feet. And Hazael, sovereign of Aram, oppressed Yasharel all the days of Jehoahaz. But Yahuwah showed favor to them, and had compassion on them, and turned toward them, for the sake of his covenant with Abraham, Yitzhak, and Jacob, and would not destroy them or cast them from his presence as yet. And Hazael, sovereign of Aram, died, and Ben-Hadad his son reigned in his place. And Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, recovered from the hand of Ben-Hadad, son of Hazael, the cities which he had taken out of the hand of Jehoahaz his father in battle. Joash struck him 3 times, and he recovered the cities of Yasharel. So there again we got prophecy being fulfilled. He only struck him 3 times. He didn't struck him enough to destroy Aram, but he captured some cities back. Chapter 14. In the 2nd year of Joash, son of Joahaz, sovereign of Yasharel, Amaziahu, son of Joash, sovereign of Yehuda, began to reign. So now we've got a new sovereign in Yehuda. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Jehoiadin of Jerusalem. And he did what was right in the eyes of Yahuwah, but not like his father David. He did according to all his father Joash did. So he did good, but he didn't quite make the mark of David. Okay? This is in Yehuda, not Yasharel, Yehuda. Verse 4. However, the high places were not taken away. The people still slaughtered and burned incense on the high places. And it came to be, as soon as the reign was strengthened in his hand, that he struck his servants who had stricken his father, the sovereign. So he killed all the guys that killed his father. Verse 6. But he did not put to death the children of the strikers, according to what is written in the book of Torah of Moshe, in which Yahuwah commanded, saying, Fathers are not put to death for the children, and children are not put to death for the fathers, but each one is put to death for his own sins. He struck Edom in the valley of Salt, 10,000, and took Selah in battle, and called its name Yokthiel to this day. Amaziah then sent messengers to Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, sovereign of Yasharel, saying, Come, let us look at each other's face. And Joash, sovereign of Yasharel, sent to Amaziah, sovereign of Yehuda, saying, The thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar that was in Lebanon, saying, Give your daughter to my son as wife. And the wild beast that was in Lebanon passed by and trampled the thistle. That's kind of telling him to pound sand, huh? Verse 10. You have certainly struck Edom. Your heart has lifted you up. Be schemed and stay in your house. But why do you stir up yourself to evil, that you should fall, you and Yehuda with you? But Amaziah did not listen. So Jehoash, sovereign of Yasharel, went up, and he and Amaziah, sovereign of Yehuda, faced one another at Beth Shemesh, which belongs to Yehuda. And Yehuda was smitten before Yasharel, and they each fled to his tent. So Yasharel whooped up on Yehuda. Verse 13. And Jehoash, sovereign of Yasharel, caught Amaziah, sovereign of Yehuda, son of Jehoash, son of Ahiyahu, at Beth Shemesh. And they came to Jerusalem, and he broke through the wall of Jerusalem from the gate of Ephraim to the corner gate, 400 cubits. And he took all the gold and silver and all the objects that were found in the house of Yahuwah and in the treasuries of the sovereign's house and hostages, and returned to Shamaron. And the rest of the acts of Jehoash, which he did, and his might, and how he fought with Amaziah, sovereign of Yehuda, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yasharel? So Jehoash slept with his fathers and was buried in Shamaron with the sovereigns of Yasharel, and Jeroboam, his son, reigned in his place. And Amaziah, son of Joash, sovereign of Yehuda, lived 15 years after the death of Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, sovereign of Yasharel. And the rest of the acts of Amaziah, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yehuda? And they made a conspiracy against him in Yasharelim, and he fled to Lachish. And they sent after him to Lachish, and killed him there, and brought him on horse, and he was buried at Jerusalem with his fathers in the city of David. And all the people of Judah took Azariah, who was 16 years old, and set him up to reign instead of his father Amaziah. Okay, so there's a new king in Judah now. He built Elath and restored it to Yehuda after the sovereign slept with his fathers. In the 15th year of Amaziah, son of Joash, the sovereign of Yehuda, Jeroboam, son of Joash, the sovereign of Yasharel, began to reign in Shamaron, and reigned 41 years. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah. He did not turn away from all the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who had made Yasharel sin. He restored the border of Yasharel from the entrance of Hamath to the sea of the Arabah, according to the word of Yahuwah, Elohim of Yasharel, which he had spoken through his servant Jonah, son of Amittai, the prophet, who was from Gath-Hepher. For Yahuwah saw that the affliction of Yasharel was very bitter, and there was no one, neither shut up nor left at large, to help Yasharel. And Yahuwah had not said that he would blot out the name of Yasharel from under the heavens, but save them by the hand of Jeroboam, son of Joash. And the rest of the acts of Jeroboam, all he did, and his might, how he fought, and how he recovered Damasek and Hamath for Yehuda in Yasharel, are they not written in the books of the annals of the sovereigns of Yasharel? So Jeroboam slept with his fathers, the sovereigns of Yasharel, and Zechariah, his son, reigned in his place. Whew. Chapter 15. Alright, new king in Yasharel now. In the 27th year of Jeroboam, sovereign of Yasharel, Azariah, son of Amaziah, sovereign of Yehuda, began to reign. Okay, we got a new king in Yehuda now. He was 16 years old when he began to reign. He reigned 52 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Yekalahu of Yasharelim. And he did what was right in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that his father Amaziah did. However, the high places were not taken away. The people still slaughtered and burned incense on the high places. And Yahuwah smote the sovereign, so that he was a leper until the day of his death, and he dwelt in a separate house. And Jotham, son of the sovereign, was over the house, ruling the people of the land. So we've got kind of a subcontractor for a king. The king has got leprosy, so he's in a separate house, but his son Jotham is reigning in his place, even though he's still alive and he's still king. Interesting. Verse 6, and the rest of the acts of Azariah, and all that he did, are they not written in the books of the annals of the sovereigns of Yehuda? So Azariah, slept with his fathers, and they buried him with his fathers in the city of David. And Jotham, his son, reigned in his place. Sounds like his son reigned for a lot longer than he was officially king. Verse 8, in the 38th year of Araziahu, sovereign of Yehuda, Zechariah, son of Jeroboam, began to reign over Yasharel in Shamaron for 6 new moons. New king in Yasharel, but he only lasted 6 months. Verse 9, and he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah as his fathers had done. He did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat, who had made Yasharel sin. And Shallum, son of Yabesh, conspired against him, and struck him in front of the people, and killed him, and reigned in his place. After 6 months, there was a conspiracy, he got schwacked. Verse 11, and the rest of the acts of Zechariah, see, they are written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yasharel. This was the word of Yahuwah, which he spoke to Jehu, saying, your sons to the 4th generation are going to sit on the throne of Yasharel. And it came to be so. Prophecy being fulfilled. Verse 13, Shallum, son of Yabesh, began to reign in the 39th year of Uzziah, the sovereign of Yehuda, and he reigned a month of days in Shemaron, so he was only there for a month. And Menahem, son of Gadi, went up from Tirzah, and came to Shemaron, and struck Shallum, son of Yabesh, in Shemaron, and killed him, and reigned in his place. And the rest of the acts of Shallum and the conspiracy which he led, see, they are written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yasharel. And Menahem struck Tirzah, and all who were there, and its borders, from Tirzah, because they did not open it to him. Therefore he struck it, and he ripped open all the pregnant women. He's a real swell fella, ain't he? Oh boy, he killed all the pregnant women, ripped them open. Verse 17, in the 39th year of Azariah, sovereign of Yehuda, Menahem, son of Gadi, began to reign over Yasharel 10 years in Shemaron. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahweh. He did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who had made Yasharel sin all his days. Pul, the sovereign of Ashur, came against the land, and Menahem gave Pul 1,000 talents of silver for his hand, to be with him to strengthen the reign in his hand. So he paid Menahem 1,000 talents of silver to help him to be king, to remain being the king. Verse 20, and Menahem exacted the silver of Yasharel, of all the mighty men of wealth, of each man 50 shekels of silver, to give to the sovereign of Ashur. And the sovereign of Ashur turned back, and did not stay there in the land. And the rest of the acts of Menahem, and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yasharel? So Menahem slept with his fathers, and Pekahiah, his son, reigned in his place. In the 15th year of Azariah, the sovereign of Yehuda, Pekahiah, the son of Menahem, began to reign over Yasharel in Shemaron for 2 years. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah. He did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who had made Yasharel sin. And Pekah, son of Remaliah, a chief officer of his, conspired against him, and struck him in Shemaron, in the high place of the sovereign's house, along with Argob and Ariah, and with him were 50 men of Gilad. So he killed him and reigned in his place. Oh man, I'm telling you, Yasharel is a mess. I mean, there's still a lot of pagan high worshiping in high places in Yehuda, but Yasharel is a disaster. Verse 26, and the rest of the acts of Pekahiah and all that he did, see, they are written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yasharel. In the 52nd year of Azariah, sovereign of Yehuda, Pekah, son of Remaliah, began to reign over Yasharel in Shamaron for 20 years. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah. He did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who had made Yasharel sin. In the days of Pekah, sovereign of Yasharel, Tiglath-Pileser, sovereign of Ashur, came and took Ion, and Abel Beth Makkah, and Yanovah, and Kadesh, and Hatzor, and Gilad, and Gilgal, and the land of Naphtali, and took them into exile to Ashur. And Hoshea, son of Elah, led a conspiracy against Pekah, son of Remaliah, and struck him and killed him, and reigned in his place in the 20th year of Jotham, son of Uzziah. And the rest of the acts of Pekah, and all that he did, see, they are written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yasharel. In the 2nd year of Pekah, son of Remaliah, sovereign of Yasharel, Jotham, son of Uzziah, sovereign of Yehuda, began to reign. So now we have a new king in Yehuda. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Yerusha, the daughter of Tisdok. Remember who Tisdok was? Tisdok was the high priest. And he did what was right in the eyes of Yahuwah. He did according to all that his father Uzziah did. However, the high places were not taken away. The people still slaughtered and burned incense on the high places. He built the upper gate of the house of Yahuwah, and the rest of the acts of Jotham, and all that he did. Are they not written in the books of the annals of the sovereigns of Yehuda? In those days Yahuwah began to send Retzin, sovereign of Aram, and Pekah, son of Remaliah, against Yehuda. So Jotham slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David, his father, and Ahaz, his son, reigned in his place. Wow. We covered a lot of ground there tonight. How many kings? Does anybody know? I didn't keep track. How many kings did we go through tonight? There was a bunch. And some had similar names and some had the same names. And I pray that y'all were able to keep up with that and keep track of that and understand that. Because this is a very confusing study. To understand who all the kings of Yasharel were and all the kings of Yehuda. The kings of Yasharel were rotten. Yehu was the only one that was a decent king. The rest of them were just rotten. And Yehuda had their problems, but for the most part, their kings were following in the steps of David for the most part. But nobody took down the high places. They were still pagan worship and incense burning going on to idols in Jerusalem. Crazy, huh? Alright, gang. That's all I've got. I pray that y'all are understanding what we're reading and what we're studying here. And I also pray that those that are seeking the wisdom and knowledge of Yahuwah are receiving it, drawing closer to the Father with every study. Please, study with your children. Help them along. If we're having trouble understanding this, just imagine they're going to have all kinds of problems. So you're going to have to be right there with them to help them through the studies so that they understand, so that they don't get confused and close their Bibles and set them on a shelf and don't go back to them. Help them to understand. All right? Help them to understand the evil in Yasharel. Yeah. All right, gang. I hope y'all have a great Shabbat. Enjoy it. Enjoy the rest. Enjoy the Shalom. Just the peace of Yahweh. Enjoy it. And enjoy being with your families. No working. No going shopping. None of that silly stuff. Just enjoy Yahweh's rest. Okay? Alright, gang. We will see you again on 4th day for our next study. And until then, Shabbat Shalom.